Okay, in this video we are going to watch the selected game for round 9 of the Lost Olympiad, Stockholm 1937. It's a pity that maybe this book didn't get the success it deserved, because it's a beautiful book and the author made a big research. So the game chosen for round 9, it's between Ozol from Latvia against Danielsson from Sweden. Now Latvia is the country of Mikhail Tal, right? The world champion that we all like very much for the sacrifices. Here it says, half a charm of English. This is called the English opening. It's his vagueness. Black can only guess what white intends, while white is giving black a big choice of defensive formations. In half a dozen moves, they will be reading one's another's minds. Black's e6 at least indicates that will not be a King's Indian. So King's Indian would have been something with g6, knight f6, bishop g7, d6. Okay, this would have been the King's Indian. But e6 can be in fact a lot of different openings. Knight f3, knight f6, and now we know that it's not a Dutch, right? Because if it was a Dutch, he would have played this. b3, that's interesting. d5, attacking immediately for the center. Bishop b2, knight b d7. e3 and c6. So this is the triangle formation, probably a semi-Slav, right? Bishop e2, queen e7. Sorry, queen c7, sorry. White has chosen a Queen's Indian formation, and it looks as though black intends to open up with e5. So black's intention might be this. Let's see what happens. Okay, it seems I made a mistake. We have to go back. Let's go back because I made a mistake in the knight. I'm sorry. c4, e6, knight f3, not knight c3, okay? Knight f3, knight f6, b3, d5, bishop b2, knight b d7, e3, c6, bishop e2, and queen c7. Okay. And now, finally, white plays knight c3, okay? So, d takes c4, b takes c4, and bishop d6. d4, castle, castle. And now there is the e5. With this freeing of this queen bishop, black attains equality. So it's still not free because there is this, but at least now the diagonal is kind of free. And white made a mistake. He played c5. Why play c5? An anti-positional move. Ozol sets up a pawn chain which black will promptly dismantle. Okay, so we see that this is a positional mistake, because you already have black attacking this. It seems your pawn chain is not stable enough. Okay, bishop e7, queen b3, e takes d4, e takes d4, and b6. Forced the base, but in reality here it says force the base and then the head. All that will be left of the chain is an isolated pawn. Okay, that wasn't really the base because of e3, right? The e3 was the base, or f2 So that was an attack in the middle, and now an attack in the frontal part. In any case, we can, thanks to watch this game, understand how to attack a pawn chain, right? So that's kind of good. C takes b6, and knight takes b6, and now finally the bishop is free. But let's try to reason for a second, okay? If black takes with the knight, you have two isolated pawns. That's not so good, right? You would think he should have taken with this. But the fact that he took with a knight, it makes you know that black wants to use the b file. Otherwise it wouldn't make sense. So sometimes behind a move you can already see the reasons and ideas of your opponent, right? Because otherwise why did he take with a knight? That wouldn't make sense. And so in fact white plays queen c2, so he already knew, he felt that black was going to play rook b8. Black continued with bishop d6, bishop d3, h6, knight e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes e4. And now there is bishop a6. Of course, you need to think about this. What happens if white plays rook fc1 because he has a kind of enough pieces, right? Well, it seems there is bishop f4. That's interesting. And he needs to move this. He cannot go to get that because this is under attack. Okay, so let's see what he plays. Bishop d3, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, rook a b8, rook a c1, knight d5, bishop f3, because probably b4 square was important too, and of course he was under attack. Knight f4, bishop takes d6, queen takes d6, queen d2, rook f d8, and rook f d1. So as we can see, there is a fight against the isolated queen pawn. Let's see what he says. The disappearance of all the bishops seems to have reduced the game to something of a dead end. Material is equal. There are two fully open files, the B and the E are fully open. This is a semi-open file on which all the rooks might be exchanged. Each side has a half-open file. Okay. Yeah. Each side has two isolated pawns. Each king looks safe enough. Pacifists might well have exchanged inquiring glances and adjourned to the bar. This, however, was an Olympiad, and the honor of Latvia and Sweden was at stake. So that's why they didn't draw the game at this point. Rook b4, rook takes c6, boom. Now the problem is that there is an intermediate move, right? Intermediate move that allows black to prove that move rook takes c6 wasn't so good. Obviously if he plays this, this is gone. So what do you play as black? Hmm? Boom! Amazing move, right? Because if you play this, this is not protected. So if black takes, you take back, there is a big attack and big problem there, right? So I don't think it was a good idea. And let's see what he played. He played king f1, rook takes queen takes c6, queen takes b4, and queen a6 check. And suddenly black is winning. Out of the barren looking position at the previous diagram, Danielson has conjured up a mating attack. Wow, there is a mating attack. White king has no option but to walk right into it. Yeah, unfortunately. King e1, knight e4. Now, queen e2 is checkmate, right? But obviously there are also threats on this one. Queen e7, knight takes g2, king d2, queen takes d2, and here he played the following: king d3, and boom, check. Now the point here is that you need to watch at least a move ahead, right? What happens if he plays king e4? Obviously there is what we call a skewer, queen e2. Yes, he attacks this, but the point is that behind there is this, so white is losing the queen. And what happens if white plays king e3 instead of king e4? Now there is not the skewer anymore, right? But unfortunately there is knight d5 forking the king and the queen at the same time. So that's why white resigned. This was round 9. I hope you enjoyed it, and in the next video we have round 10 of the Lost Olympiad.